Hey everybody, how's it going? It's your pal Wes from Perfect Circuit, and today we're going to take a look at another Takt-Trick. Specifically, we're going to do some time stretching on the Digitakt. Now, a few people have explored this trick, including the legendary Elektron man himself, Mr. Dataline, but we figured we'd give you kind of our formula for specifically cool breaking on the Digitakt. Now there's a little bit of setup here and a whole lot of precise numbers that we're gonna have to dial in. So I'm gonna make extensive use of holding this page to show our values down here, okay? So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is load up a break here, right? Okay, now once we've got the break in here, we're gonna wanna set the start point to exactly 60. This is because the start and the end of a sample are always going to be at 0 and 120 in Digitakt land. So 60 is going to be precisely in the middle of the sample there, right? Then we're going to want to come over here to this LFO page. And the first thing we're going to want to do is assign it to the sample start slot. That's what we want to modulate here, okay? And then we're going to set the wave to a rising ramp wave. All right, you got that for us? So we got sample start and then we got a rising ramp wave. Yours will probably look something a little bit more like this to start with. Now, once we've got that, we want to invert the speed. I like to go down to -8 here. I found that this is the best sort of middle ground for speeds that we're going to be dealing with. So I like -8, and the other effect that this has is it inverts our LFO for us. So now think of this LFO, it's starting below 0 and going all the way up to 100, right? So in the context of our sample, when we modulate the sample start time, it's going to start at 0 and then travel to 120, right? Perfect. So now we're going to want to go back over to our LFO page and create the depth modulation and dial that into exactly 60. The reason we do exactly 60 is because, once again, our sample start and end time are going to be -60 from the start, which is 60, and then the end time is going to be 120, which is +60 from our start time, right? The last thing we want to take note of is our Bpm multiplier. I've got mine set to 4 here, but this is going to be very important in just a few moments. So now let's engage our sequencer here, and you'll see that I've put down a trigger on every single step, right? And that's exactly the way we want it. But if we press play right now, it's just going to do that, which is not at all what we want it to do. We want this sample start time to scrub through our waveform, just like it's doing there when we hit stop, right? See, it's going right. So all we got to do to have that sort of behavior happen is turn off the LFO trigger, right? So just turn that bad boy off on the trigger page here, but then we're still going to need to engage the LFO. So on our first step, we'll parameter lock the LFO trigger here, right? Cool. Okay, so now let's hit play and see what happens. It's pretty close to just gosh darn dang near perfectly time stretched. This is a very interesting technique. This same sort of theory was used for early time stretching effects in other sampler boxes. It's very reminiscent of that kind of 90s tracker style time stretching, and it works really great on a bunch of stuff, but breaks especially. So now that we've got this all set up, one thing that we absolutely want to do is really quick temp save that. So if we go and we mess anything up, we can always just reload and know that we're back to where we are. But another interesting thing here is that we can hop to a different break here. Let's try this one, and we'll notice that it's much shorter. So let's see how it sounds. It's way too slow. The tempo's too slow too, but let's see here. Too slow, not doing it for me. So now we can come over to this multiplier real quick here and bump it up maybe to 8. And that's much better. So that multiplier is kind of going to be our quick nudge in one direction or another if we want to try different breaks. I usually have 1 bar or 2 bar breaks, but sometimes I've got 4 bar breaks. So you never know what you're gonna need, and so it's good to have the option. Let's take a look at this one here, this hot pants break. See, that one's too fast, so maybe we'll need to nudge this back down to 4 there. Now, because we also have a trigger on every step, we can take advantage of that and maybe create like cool filter modulation. Maybe we'll throw some delay in there, some reverb, a little bit of bit reduction. Bit of overdrive. Well, maybe that's too much. But you see, now you can sit here and play around all day. If you decide you want it a little bit slower, you've got that option. Want it a little bit faster, you can do that too. Make sure you try this trick out with a ton of different audio. Experiment. See if there's other LFO waveforms that can get you to cool places. You can get to like a granular sort of thing by using the random waveform. Play with the fades there. You never know what's going to happen. Remember that time stretching was more of an effect than it was a thing that people relied on to get their loops sounding good, you know? So use it as a tonal effect and have some fun. Let us know down in the comments what your favorite uses for this trick are. Let us know what your favorite samples to play with are, and let us know if there's any Takt-Trickz that you'd love us to explore. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.